Hello and welcome to Live Code Happy Hour special Hackathon weekend edition for this lovely May 3rd, 2020. I'm here with some friends and let's go ahead and dive right into introductions. Brad, you want to kick us off?
Sure. My name's Brad Tilton. I am a developer advocate at ServiceNow with the developer program. And I'm excited to be here this morning on the home stretch of the hackathon.
Awesome. And Chuck?
I just realized we have the ABCs here. We have Andrew, Brad, and Chuck. So we've got you covered. Start you out easy. It's Sunday morning. That's where my brain goes. It's got to go real simple. I'm Chuck Tomasi, Senior Developer Evangelist at ServiceNow. Been here for 10 years. In fact, May 3rd, 2010 was a momentous day in my career. That was the last day at my last job. So that's where my brain is like, yeah, this was a good day.
Nice.
I mean, when someone says you no longer have a job, it wasn't a good day. You go, oh, well, that changes the rules. So happy to be here. Happy Hackathon, everybody. And really looking forward to seeing what's coming in the next day or so when we do the judging.
Awesome. Thank you, Chuck. I'm Andrew Barnes, Developer Advocate at ServiceNow. And yeah, let's just dive right in. So I had a question, Chuck, talking about your last term. Didn't you win a hackathon?
It was called the Innovation of the Year Award.
Yes.
And what it was show us a way you've built an application or extended the platform in some way that assisted your business. And you really had like all year to choose from. I submitted two things, one of which was a customer self-registration portal, because previously we were going through IT and emailing logins and passwords to customers through the customer service manager. It was really kludgy and security risk. So we put a portal around that. I submitted that, and then I submitted the loaner application, the loaner request system that is still on Share. It's been updated a few times, and it's now even a scoped app. And that's what won. So when Brian Surratt called me up on Tuesday before Knowledge, he said, "You're a finalist." I got really sick. I was out of work for 2 days. I'm trying to. He goes, "Can you send us some screenshots?" And what I was not done. I'm hopped up on NyQuil, writing business rules and scheduled jobs and what. I go, I gotta get the screenshots. But I got it all to them by Friday after 2 days of sick leave. I got there, and then they wanted to record this video at Knowledge, and I was sounding more like this. I like ServiceNow platform. It's really great. You can develop really fast on it. They never used that video because a week later I was let go, and I said, you can't use that video because I don't represent that company anymore. So, somewhere there's a video that's really terrible.
Thankfully, we don't have access to that, or I'd start rolling it.
I would too. I just found the actual piece of paper. It's really funny how we've matured as a company since 2010, because they gave me this certificate with the nice silver border, and it was signed by Fred Letty. It doesn't say who won. It doesn't say the date. It just says, Innovation of the Year Award winner, Fred Letty. And it was tri-folded and slapped in an envelope. So You can still
Oh,
see the pieces where it was
tri-folded.
folded. Yeah,
Nice.
that's right. Here's your
Awesome.
award. And it included 3 passes to Knowledge 11, which I
Ooh.
never was able to claim, and the company only sent 2. I went, well, what's up with that? So it was really kind of an interesting scenario. But that piece of paper, very proud of it. I should hang it like right there, just off camera, and it's still there. And that was very instrumental in helping me get the position at ServiceNow a few weeks later. So very, very fortunate for that.
That was
Nice.
pretty much what I was going for there. It was a little inspiration on, when
Hopefully
you build a
nobody-
thing.
Hopefully nobody's using the NyQuil part this weekend.
So normally we introduce our drinks, but I believe that we're all having fine beverages of
High-quality
water
H2O.
this
Yeah.
morning.
Coffee.
It's 6 a.m. What am I supposed to have? A Bloody Mary?
So it's 9, 8, and 6 a.m. here for us. Mm. I don't think any of the gurus from our last guru session are going to drop in. I haven't seen them yet. I do believe we are going to have one team drop in at some point during our call.
Mhm.
But let's just chat a little bit about the hackathon. So it's been going on now for, I should probably have a counter somewhere for
36-ish hours? No,
Yeah,
more than that. 40 hours.
5:24.
it was something like
40,
52,
41.
My brain hurt.
It's just
and,
short of
and
48
we're pretty
hours.
close. Well,
I think
since-
40.
it's been going on for a while. And yesterday we did a bit of live streaming. I know I did some in the morning, and then we did a more formal broadcast like this. And other teams, some of the teams are doing some live streaming. I've dropped in on those and engaged with those teams who are doing the live streaming. The one that entertains me the most is the one doing their development in VR, which just cracks me up to join a Twitch stream of someone in VR doing ServiceNow development. That's just entertaining to me. So that's been a lot of fun to see the engagement there, and we're going to grow that aspect of it as we run these in the future. We want to encourage and get more live streaming of these things. If you're just regularly, if you're doing some work that you can share, because we can't always share what we're doing because they're it's works intellectual property. So if you're doing work for your business, make sure you check with your work before you display any of your work artifacts for your work time. But if you're doing ServiceNow development work, especially if it's for your own personal time, fire up a live stream. It's not as intimidating as it seems. I know when I first started getting started at this, and I know Chuck has got a long history of podcasting. When I first started doing live streaming for gaming, it seemed intimidating to get started in that because I didn't want to show not doing well. And now, well, if you
made a job of it.
if you caught the end of the live stream yesterday, I was having a struggle just with a complex object. So
Had problems spelling his name, kids.
yeah, like spelling my name. So I've clearly gotten comfortable with the not showing that I do everything right the first time. And that's key though, is you don't have to be perfect because no one is, and you don't have to be showing a polished thing to be valuable. In fact, that's the main purpose of this particular show, is showing the value of how we run into issues and walls and get around those, which is why we don't do any pre-canned stuff for this particular show, is because we're trying to show that learning process and how to get through the issues. We'll do some prep sometimes because you don't want to have 10 issues that you don't know about. But in general, the problems that we work through are real problems, and we don't we run into enough issues. We don't have to fabricate any fake issues to show off the learning process. we
Well, and by the
we
same
we
token,
hit them.
we'll do a little bit of prep before reading API docs too, so you're not watching us read documentation.
Because that gets old. It
Yeah.
does.
Yeah.
So have y'all seen anything that's inspired you? I mean, we won't go into detail of what did inspire you, but have you seen some apps and when you were helping folks that were interesting so far in the hackathon? Brad, I know you've seen some stuff. No, he's thinking.
Where we lost audio. Not sure.
Oh, sorry, my stream froze. So we're talking about things. So one of my favorite things is you already mentioned, which is the VR stream. I do enjoy popping into the VR stream every now and then and just kind of watching what looks like unlimited virtual screen real estate in all around you. So I may have looked into that already on how I can get into that.
Oh, you may have looked into that.
There's some pretty neat things that maybe there's some cool things that people are doing. I've seen in a few verticals. There, without getting into specifics, there's been a couple of things in like the manufacturing vertical. I expected some of the verticals to have more entrants than other our categories. I was, kind of excited to see some of the apps that people have entered and things like manufacturing, which, is maybe not as exciting as some of the other ones or not as obvious. So yeah, there's been some neat stuff out there. Teams are asking some really good questions about, mobile and we've got some workspace and, all sorts of things in there. So it's definitely been fun to watch.
Where can one find
what about you,
these
Chuck?
streams? I am not, because I'm looking for these streams that you're talking about.
So I've seen most of them through direct messaging, but there's a post in the community where they can link. So in the hackathon community, there's a post that I made for folks to share their live streams there.
Must go look.
Yeah, there's a lot of posts in the that hackathon community. It's been a great engagement space with the questions from the teams. So yeah, I've seen a nice variety of different utilization of the platform from these teams. So yeah, there's been virtual agent and flow designer and integration hub and workspace and portal, mobile, lots of mobile. What else is stuck out for you, Brad? Like those are the big areas. Has anything a little bit smaller and more obscure popped up that you've seen?
Oh, that's a good question. Mobile is probably the biggest thing that I have seen, which is good because most experiences should have some sort of mobile component to them if we're talking about doing something in the enterprise or or consumer world. But obscure, it may be a little too early for my brain to work that well, but I don't know.
All right, let's see. The chat looks like it's going well. Hello, Andrew and Linda and Dhruv and last name Data, Phil. Hi, everybody. Thanks for dropping in. So yeah, it's been a lot of fun so far. This hackathon has been just a great joy. I'm sporting my CreatorCon 2019 shirt. And I like your new background, Brad. Like that's nice. It reminds me of yesterday with the smoking of the meat. Like it's got a smoky flavor to it. It's nice.
Got that plasma cutter look.
Right.
Yeah. So I was willing to pick back up on the GitHub thing we were working on, but I'm happy, just so happy if someone else wants to pick up and do some developing.
Did you get your credentials resolved?
So Brad actually loaded the GitHub spoke for me because I was having trouble loading it, and stole their credential alias that they had set up. I was having some trouble with the parsing of the response token from GitHub to actually like store my token locally. So, because when you're doing an OAuth implementation, when you ask the other end for the token, you have to parse their response and understand that, and then store the token. And I was having a struggle with that, even though I've done it like 5 times for GitHub before. But I got that alias set up from the store spoke, and then so we should be able to. And I did push to GitHub, so we've jumped past that spot.
Okay. So you push to GitHub, you get your folder, your directory?
I did. I got my folder. So
well, that was the objective, was it not?
Yeah. So now, if we if we go back to that, what I'll show the tweaks I had to make, and then we'll work on actually like being able to set stuff in the file, because that's like super bonus. But I think we're like right there on that. Y'all want to do that, or you want to work on something else?
It sounds like a short win to push it across the finish line.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like a short win. Brad?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Let me start sharing this desktop and switch the display. Oh, that's why. I was like, why is that showing up weird? It's because it was showing exactly what I was supposed to. Good job, computer, doing what you're supposed to. So let me show you what I did, which was in our rest step. I went and grabbed the GitHub spoke connection alias, and then put my credentials in that, and then I was able to communicate with GitHub. So that step was really useful to get past the token issue. And then the next thing that I had to do was,
looks like you tweaked the resource path a little bit.
I definitely tweaked the resource path a little bit. We talked about doing this, but I actually added it in, which was, actually putting in. Well, let me not move the words around. Actually, putting in the path that we wanted, and this file path is still from our inputs. And then I have tacked on a file name statically at the end, but we are going to change that to index.md here now. So that's the next thing to do, is index.md. And this is not a generic solution, obviously. This is very particular to our use case, is doing this, but we could absolutely accept a file name as a parameter to our input if we wanted to be generic. Yummy water. And the next thing that I did, so yeah, I stepped away from the computer for like 30 minutes, and then I came back and I was like, oh yeah, we did a couple of things wrong. And you get your distance. Sometimes when you take a go to sleep or get a reset or go for a walk, when you come back, you can look at things with fresh eyes. and see that different perspective. And so that's what I did. You'll notice we don't have any query parameters here. And we had been putting our parameters for the API here, and they don't belong there. They actually belong in our payload. So in our request.
I figured that because some of them were getting really long. I mean, you can't put the content in a header because the content is your file content, which could be megabytes worth of content. That's not header stuff. So
yeah,
that makes a
and
lot
we
more
didn't
sense.
and we didn't have that in the header, but we did have
Okay.
this message and branch and committer
Yep.
in parameters up here, and they actually belong down here. So
Nice.
one of the things that I could do is genericize this even more, and create this payload in a previous step, but and have it dynamically with inputs.
Mhm.
I don't think I need that in this case, but what I would like to do is either just have a generic text that we convert, or accept dynamic text and encode it and then drop that in here. Brad, you're part of the requirements gathering here. Which would you like of those two?
So the second one was accepting some dynamic text. What was the first one?
Just putting in generic text.
Some static text. If we're creating a stub file, then it would seem like static, but eventually you may want to change what that static is.
Yeah. So,
Go ahead, Brad.
I guess the the typical stub in there has the name of the folder, right? So
Yeah, it has the name of the folder and the author and the title. Or like
It is kind of dynamic.
So, but that being said, I think both Andrew and I typically copy paste from over all of that from another article,
yes,
and then rewrite it. So,
we actually have a one of the teams has dropped in the chat. Y'all want to drop back to video and say hi to them?
Yeah,
absolutely.
All right, let's do that.
Since this is all about the hackathon.
Yeah, this is all about the hackathon, and that is. Let's see if we can get them in.
Friend of the show, Andrew.
Hello.
Friend of the show,
Andrew.
Upside Down Andrew.
Yeah, how's it going?
Good.
He's sporting the hackathon beard.
Oh, yeah, I'm sporting a father of two young ones beard. And a quarantine beard as well, I guess. Working from home. How's everything?
Did you get any streaming done recently? I know I watched some yesterday.
Yeah, I thought, it'd be amazing. I'll live stream the whole thing. I realized that you can't have your webcam hooked into a meeting at the same time as OBS and do all of the stream stuff at this. It just was a bit too difficult. So I ended up working on our hackathon thing more so than working on a live stream. But I did manage to sit down when the other guys were offline and do a little bit of live stream, have a chat to a few people that dropped into my stream, which was pretty cool. And got a bit done on camera. So it was fun.
Nice.
You've done hackathons in the past in person. Compare those to...
I haven't.
You haven't? You haven't done a hackathon? I thought you did.
No, okay. I've always wanted to, and I've definitely built things under pressure, but never in a hackathon context. Interesting.
Okay. So what's your experience about this year? Tell us a little bit about that.
I like it. It's I guess what I was expecting. My team's a bit I was really hoping to get a few more local people. Not that I'm complaining about having Jace Benson or Jared Munt on my team. I was sort of hoping to have an Australian team. And it just so happened some of the All-Star guys were like, "Oh, does anyone have a team going?" And I put my hand up. I said, "Yeah, I do." And so we've got sort of a 40-60 split with local people. We've got 4 local people and to US people. So
That just
maybe not
means you
40,
have global
60, but
coverage.
yeah.
Right.
And I wake up in the morning and stuff's happened, and it's amazing because I'm kind of used to just working on my own instance, and if it's not me that does it, it doesn't get done. But yeah, I
Coding
logged back
helps.
in after a couple hours, and all our widgets were done, and it was awesome.
Nice.
So
Yeah.
you said, typically you're the only person in your instance, or are you the solo developer?
I have a junior, but generally we're working on different things. Like we'll both have our main points. Like I'm working on integrations and coding, and she'll be working on like implementing a new module, something like that, like something more out of the boxy that's a bit easier for someone that doesn't have as much developer experience. And then we sort of have the two streams of attack. So we get a fair bit pumped out between the two of us for our organization. But yeah, like if I'm looking at a piece of code and I go to bed and I wake up, it's not magically fixed. But last night it was pretty great.
Nice.
Yeah.
So how has that changed? Have you learned anything from having to interact and coordinate with other developers that you don't typically have to do? Like, has that?
I think because I started the team, I've kind of taken a bit more of a team lead role, and so I haven't really had that experience before. It's been it's good. Like I like being able to kind of pull the shots and be like, oh, we should work on this, and this is how it is. And I guess doubly so because the idea is actually my idea that I've borrowed from my wife. She works in healthcare. She's an emergency nurse, and at the moment, obviously, there's a million things that we need as emergency health situations escalate. And this is something that's been kind of bugging her, and I thought, well, I'll get to that when we demo the app, but it's a good use case. It's just not something that anybody else on the team has ever used before or ever been involved with because it is very medical heavy.
Oh,
So
that's great that it's a real problem though. Like,
yeah,
I love solving real problems with someone who is experienced in that domain space. So you have a
Subject
reference
matter expert.
Yeah. You
yeah,
have
a few
reference
nights
right there with you that you can say, hey, how's this feeling? Is it would this, give me feedback, and you're
Yeah,
able to
a few
incorporate
nights
that.
before the hackathon started, when we sort of decided on the idea, I sat down with my wife and I got my laptop out and I was like, right, tell me what you hate. And she started telling me those things, and
Those
we
are
started
great
working out
questions.
how to fix them. Yeah.
Yeah, those are great questions. What are the pain points?
Mm-hmm.
And what is working well that we shouldn't mess with? Like, yeah, what should we focus our time on solving? So
Well, considering it's a paper process, we don't have to save anything.
Yeah, similar. Do you want me to sort of go through the idea and show where we're at?
If you can, I mean, we don't want to tip
Sure.
the hat, but yeah, I mean,
I don't, Brad, I'm okay with
Yeah,
that.
I think that sounds great. I mean, I think we're far enough in to where if somebody is
I don't
able
think
to
someone's
use
going to
that,
steal your idea at this point.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
and we do
That,
this
and I've
in
been
the-
live streaming a bit. So
when we do the on-site hackathons, and it's usually typically about 8 hours, Brad, Andrew,
Yeah.
we'll go around at about the 4 or 5 hour mark and go, how are we doing? What's the progress? What do you got? Tell us your story. So this would be about the same ratio of time.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
let's walk around to your virtual table and see what you've got.
awesome. So, as I mentioned, my wife being in healthcare, emergency nurse, one of the things that they do at our local emergency hospital is crashes patient in resus situations. Sorry, my headphones just did something weird. So a patient is no longer breathing, they're no longer circulating blood. You begin CPR, and that is actually controlled, like in a hospital, controlled by an algorithm, which, amazing, it fits into some programming and some widgets and stuff. The algorithm is called the Advanced Life Support algorithm, and it dictates the timing and when you administer drugs and how all of that sort of happens. And my wife has said, look, one of the roles in a resus event is the scribe nurse. So it's their job to write down everything that's happening and make sure that all of the other people doing all of the other jobs sort of stay on time and understand where they are through the algorithm, through the cycles that are happening. And at the moment, the hospital system here has recently transitioned to a digital system from paper-based forms, like only within the last 6 to 12 months. And the new digital system is, I think I said on my stream last night, the opposite of ServiceNow. It is slow, it is clunky, there are a million windows to do stuff and no customization options. So everyone kind of hates it, but is forced to use it because that's what you got to do. And she's sort of come to me and said, look, if there was some way that we could document and keep up with a resus event as sort of like it happens, and we can just like hit a button to say that we've done something rather than going through this clunky old system to try and get it to work, that would be amazing. And so obviously your little cogs start going in the head and you think, yeah, we can build something to do this. So let me share my screen and I'll show you where we're at. It is this one. So this, if we can all see it, is a resus running event. So we start, this is actually after we've already begun an event. Maybe I should try and, I won't bother trying to start a new one, but essentially what happens is the page loads. We've assigned some people to be the nurses and doctors involved in the resus event, and a cycle begins. So cycles in the algorithm are 2 minutes long. That's where you do your compressions. Then after the 2 minutes, you're prompted to check the patient's heart rhythm. So there are 4 options there. Whether it's a shockable rhythm, you administer a defibrillation shock. If it's not a shockable rhythm, you restart the cycle and maybe administer some drugs. So that's what we've been working on. It has a lot of logic built into it. So then in this case, I've just picked the rhythm that the patient was in was not shockable. Our alerts up here have advised us to dump the shock. That then begins the current cycle again, increases the cycle count and starts the timer. At the same time, you can see we've got a running timeline down here, which is kind of our documentation section of everything that has happened throughout this event. And it all updates live. All of the widgets use events to talk to each other, and then they also write back to a series of child tables based on a single event type, which have the different information for if you're administering a drug, it's still an event, but it includes stuff like what sort of drug it is, who ordered that drug, who gave that drug, and who checked the drug, and then also writes it back to the timeline. Yeah, so we've got some. So it's getting there. It's almost done. It's looking a lot prettier than it did a few hours ago. When I mentioned that I might be jumping on stream, one of the other guys jumped on and started making the text bigger. We've also been sort of taking into account that a lot of the people that are running these resus events may be new to resus because of the influx of staff, because of the influx of patients. So you may have noticed up in the corner here, we have a layperson mode. You can tick that on, and it on the fly translates everything that we had back to the proper medical terms.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I like that toggle.
Yeah. And it's so, I don't know what VF or VT mean. The people running this are obviously, they're going to know what the terms mean. Maybe they don't know the particular acronyms. And so that just means that they can come in, they can see exactly what it is. And yeah.
And so you've got to transition from a newer user to, the 20th time you've done this.
To the expert
Yeah,
user.
you don't need that one. You can just
It's
turn it
about like
off.
turn annotations off.
Yeah, you want to reduce the noise so that the accuracy is higher, but
Yeah, that's
you want to
right.
make sure that they understand it. The first few times, so that again the accuracy is higher. And so I like that. I like that. The thought to include that in this is that extra level of detail.
And for
Like
the
that's
really new
thoughtful.
person, really new person, you can put a guided tour on there.
Well, funny you should mention that. Let me refresh it with the guided tour.
I'm full of ideas, aren't I?
The resuscitation runner is intended to help guide people who are new to emergency department resuscitation, etc., etc. I haven't actually done this, so I'm running through it the first time as well.
I had
so
no
we've
idea
got,
that was there. That was not planned, folks.
yeah, no. The layperson mode is pointed out. Switch between medical and non-medical. Perfect. The alert section shows you the next suggested action. So
That's
we want to
awesome.
make sure the defibrillator is attached to the patient. That's always good. The cycle timer section tells us how many cycles we've got, every cycle being 2 minutes, the total time, how many counts of cycles, shocks, and adrenaline have been administered. Patient section obviously tells you who we're shocking, just to be sure. General notes and observations. So
That's really
I
cool
think
that you included a guided.
That is beautiful. What's your resident expert say about it so far?
my wife hasn't
Yes.
actually seen it.
Mhm.
When we've got it looking this nice, she was actually at work probably doing this. And one of my teammates did suggest sending her the link and seeing what it ran like live. But we
Ooh.
thought the disclaimers would probably be a bit too much to sign.
Yeah, that might be a big of a risk.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's looking pretty good.
That's pretty neat. Thanks for sharing that, Andrew.
No worries. I'm
Yeah, but
pretty
if you can
excited
get
about
her,
it.
if you can get her as an advocate, then the trail is blazed.
Maybe we can get her in as a model for our 3-minute video. Have her perform it on the cats or something.
Don't shock the cats.
No shocking the cats or administering the drugs. So you're leveraging Service Portal here clearly.
Yeah.
And you've got some guided tours. What other technologies in the platform have you leveraged behind the scenes to make this stuff go?
So the base of it is fairly tables, and like there isn't even that much in the way of business rules because we've done most of our logic client side.
Okay.
Jared jumped in our team really late. I think he was a last few hours joiner, and he sort of came in and was like, "Oh, I don't actually know much about Portal." So we've asked him to go out and build a PDF export of a full event from start to finish so that you could attach it to patient records, bring it with you to your GP visit afterwards, whatever. And I haven't seen that again. That's something that he's been working on and he's offline at the moment, but he did show us a screen grab and it's looking really good. It's got a header and all of the running events that we're going to push out afterwards. I think that's I want to say platform feature, but it's definitely he hasn't built that from scratch. He's got it from somewhere, maybe some APIs or something that the platform has. I haven't worked with PDFs before. Other than that, we borrowed one of your tricks, Chuck, and we've built up a const file. It's so good. We've been doing a lot of Portal stuff because that's where most of it is going to happen. Jared did actually import a bunch of drugs from the FDA in case we needed them. I think he loaded a table
Nice.
with something like 110,000 from a particular API.
Sounds a lot like LiquorBot. We're gonna have to get him together with Jason.
Yeah,
heck of a party.
Well, that is looking pretty snazzy, Andrew. Thank you for sharing.
No worries. I will drop my screen. There we go.
that was pretty cool. Yeah, it's nice to see folks tackling real problems.
Mhm.
That the fact that you have an expert that you can bounce things, because as developers we can get on tangents and spend a bunch of time on features that the users don't necessarily want.
Mm. I think in this case, the problem was like there's so much more that we could do, and taking all of my wife's input and all of the extra features and then just working out what is actually accomplishable in 2.5
The
3
time
days or
box,
however
yeah.
long it is the important part, and making sure that the important features like the translation or the alerting is working correctly and not getting stuck up on maybe I think we were working on or thinking about having a clicker to 100 bpm, which is the rate that you should be doing your compressions. We had a look at web API and I sort of tucked my head back into my shell and said, yeah, let's not do that for this time.
Well, those are valid
'cause-
questions when you're talking about the implementation too. It's what is the
yeah.
minimum viable product, or as we learned yesterday, a minimum lovable product that that you can get. Don't try and boil the ocean with all your requirements, and this goes for any project really.
Mhm.
Is understand what are the critical pain points, who's the persona that's going to impact the most, and then you work out from there. Because if you
Yeah.
wait, you can't let great be the enemy of good to get that first MVP out the door.
Mhm. And I think that's where we've sort of hit the nail on the head with that additional notes field where you can type in anything and just add it into the history. So if we've missed being able to say, oh, this person has had an IV added into their left arm, then
They can type
they
it
can
in.
just type it. Yeah.
Nice. Well, that's really really neat. Thank you so much for sharing that. That's just like
No worries.
to see that come together quickly. Like watching all of these apps and what can be accomplished in the slightly more than 50 hours, but no one is working continuously that long. Is pretty neat to be able to see these. So I'm excited to see the finished product here and from all the other teams. Like, it's inspiring to me to see what folks come up with and leverage things in ways that I know I haven't thought of. Um,
Mm.
so that's my favorite part of hackathons is watching that innovation, because there's always something that you can learn. Um, you know, whenever you look at anyone else's application, like
Yeah, 100%. And I know like everyone on my team, even the people who've been on the platform for 12 years, have learned something on Service Portal on the back end. It's just like, oh, that little trick, this little thing, I didn't realize that when you emitted an event, you could pass a payload with it. Just little things like that will really be worthwhile somewhere down the line when we're doing another project.
Yeah,
Well,
I love
go ahead.
I love watching things like that where you see somebody do something and they have a totally different, or they have some unique use case, and you think, I could use that in this app that I'm building. That's a completely different use case, but it's some
Mhm.
little trick or just something that I had never thought about before that I can apply here.
My,
And that's
mine is
always been one of my favorite parts of knowledge,
Yeah.
is just seeing what people have done all over the place. And
Mhm.
I never thought of that. Let's take that back and use it.
Mine is usually, where was that when I was working on that little project?
where was that when I needed it?
But
Where's-
I'm excited too for this use case because somebody who's I'm into my mid 50s now. I am excited that you're making improvements in the medical industry software. That is so needed. Who knows? Maybe one or more of us will have an encounter with this or a derivative of this application at some future point. I mean, I hope we don't have to be resuscitated and whatnot.
Yeah.
But if we do, I want ServiceNow behind the scenes.
It'll be documented efficiently.
Yes, for the court case.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the opportunity of the hackathon. So the learning whenever I look at applications, that's why one of the reasons why I encourage customers so much and developers to do code reviews. But the hackathon opens up that opportunity for looking at other people outside of your organization's things to learn from. So that's why I like the share so much in public GitHub repositories, because they, like the hackathon, they open up that opportunity for extra learning, to see how a thing is done differently. Because you know, at a certain point, you know, you build up muscle memory for a thing in ServiceNow, and you know, when you see problems, you're like, my muscle right here is really good at this thing, and so that looks like the nail that my hammer can hit. And when you're exposed to more of those abilities to think a little bit differently and attack problems differently, then you get a broader set of tools, which I think that's one of the coolest things for the hackathon, for the team people and for the audience that gets to see the creations, is they get to see different ways of attacking the same you know, root problem, can be solved so many different ways in the platform. I mean, just think about how many different ways you can make a field mandatory.
Yeah. You say that it's great until you've got a mandatory field that you can't work out why.
Why is it mandatory?
Field watcher.
I didn't say that it was great that there's a bunch of ways. I just think that it's nice to know different ways to solve the same problem. So that is any powerful tool like ServiceNow has got, you know, multiple ways to solve the same problem, and the more you can learn the variety of those ways, the better you can tune that that application to the right, not right, a more suited way to solve that problem versus the thing you're most familiar with. So that's super neat. Anything else for Andrew before he goes and rests his worthy rest he gets today?
Yeah, it's 1:45 and I've been up since 5 a.m. Not perfect. Like, it's not because of hackathon, it's because I have young kids.
Anything else, Brad?
It looks great. Yeah.
Thanks, Andrew.
Awesome. No worries. Thank you. I'll see you later.
Bye. All right. So I will reshare and we'll pick back up where we were.
All right.
Share and switch over. There we go. All right. So we were talking about, Brad, we may want to grab, so we could potentially, so here's what the potential is. We could grab the title and we could grab the author, and we could even grab the planned publish date, and inject those in our file. I don't know if it's super valuable, but it's something we could do. You want to try it out?
Yeah, I think I think ultimately I would like to be able to pass everything into it. So whenever this is getting created, you know, it'd be nice to be able to pass in, because we pass in tags. It'd be nice to be able to choose my tags so I don't have to type them out in the stub. The publish date, automatically started as a draft.
I'd probably want to do almost the opposite for tags for me, though. But yeah, like, so would it be valuable? Maybe it's valuable to go look at one of these really quickly for the audience, so they have some more context on what we're doing. So I'll open up a blog post. Here's one. It's Andrew's post. That was special. I like that. So here is the area that we're talking about between. So this is the start of the post. So this is all of our metadata for post, and really you can't have a blog post without this metadata. So the author, for example, is one of the pieces of information that we want. The title is not as important because I tend to not put a appropriate title in our internal system. But and then the date, so that could be our planned publish date. So it could start from that. This slug is super important because that's the folder name. The category is actually going away, so that's not as important. But the tags are important because this is one navigation on the site, and also for us helps us keep track of are we getting the right coverage to things that developers are interested in. So when for example we're looking right now to see if we've got enough coverage for now experience, those tags really help us because we can look at our tool internally and see the different tags that we're using for recent articles and see that, oh, it's been 7 weeks since we've done a now experience related article. It's probably time again. So that helps us when we're grooming our backlog.
The other thing,
Go ahead.
the other thing is the draft property. So I would want it to say, draft is true when it's creating these, so that we have to toggle that.
Good point.
To false.
Okay. So let us then take in an input string. So this is going to be the blog. Well, they're all blogs. The metadata header. And we'll just take it in as a string. Yeah, so we'll accept that as a string. And then do we want to, I feel like it's fine for us to, do we want to compose that metadata header in our flow, or do we want to do it here in the action? Because basically I'm going to look up the related article and do some manipulation to that data, and I might want to do some scripting to it. And is it prescriptive enough that we want it in the action, or do we want it flexible for the consumer in the flow? That's a typical decision point, right?
Right. What else is happening in the flow? That might set some context.
Running this action, I think, is the only thing that until unless I need to do some manipulation to the data, I think calling this action is the only thing that we're going to put in that flow right now.
I kind of getting the sense that we want to pull our trick of passing the glide record to this action, because from there, once you get the file path and the metadata header generated, the capability to generate those as well.
Yeah, if we want to do it inside the action, absolutely. But if we wanted to do it in the flow, then we would, or a subflow, we would then, just send it exactly what this thing needs. I feel like
it's related to the action. The job of this action is to create the file.
Yes.
So let's let it generate what that file is. Well, maybe not. Maybe because this could create a different file with different content. But
yeah, I think we'll keep it, even though we're not going super generic. I think we'll keep it for its singular purpose. Is this thing creates files, and it doesn't in folders. It doesn't create
specific files, but you're still passing it a metadata header, which implies it's a blog article.
Yeah. So we'll
maybe this is create blog file is a better name for this action.
Oh, well, that's probably a better name for the. That is probably a better name.
In which case, I would say if you're creating a blog file, you're going to create the header as well. So header generation should be in the action, in my opinion.
Brad, you got a feeling?
I kind of lean the other way, where we're just passing a text blob, just because we're talking about maybe changing the blog, and a lot of times my header changes. So I'm thinking what we pass it will probably change, and I think we should probably manage those changes through the flow rather than through the action itself.
Okay.
So you
in
were
this
saying
case-
this would be you'd pass it one like a default in the case of a create, but there may be an update blog file action later.
Well, it could. I think the stub we create could change. Like,
Oh, okay.
Right now it has some specific things. Maybe we add something else into it. But in this case, we just pass it something and it creates a file, with whatever, text blob we pass it. And then we don't really have to worry about updating this action every time we change something. We can manage that through the flow itself.
Yeah, we could always have some sort of template header record that we can tweak later and say, take this header record and merge it with the body content, and there's your file.
Yeah.
It looks like Omar wants to come visit. He can come hang out. Yeah.
Right.
All right. So I think
Brad's
that
convinced
solidifies it. So we'll just accept the header and then we'll deal with that. So over here in my script step, then I'm going to need to take that input and I'm going to need to encode it. So let us do that. So we are going to take a variable, which is our input header. And we're going to grab that from the inputs. And then we're going to, and I might at some point abstract this out into a script include, but for now, we will take the, what did I call that thing? Input header. How about blog header? Inputs dot input. Oh, I am not calling that thing input header.
I was wondering. I knew I was. I knew that was going to hit you at some point.
I'm not. It's already labeled as an input.
Mhm.
It doesn't need to be said it's an input twice. All right. So take that header, and then I'm going to need to encode that. Right. So hey, Omar, welcome. Thanks for joining us.
Howdy. Thanks for having me. This is awesome.
All right. So we're working in Flow Designer right now to integrate with GitHub. And that was such a good suggestion yesterday, but I forgot to implement it, which is we're going to include, as soon as I remember, the problem statement and task that we're working on in the stream from now on, and try and catch people up, because we do it verbally, but having it right there on the screen I think will be really helpful for the audience. So that was a great suggestion that Megahertz added yesterday. So we're working in Flow Designer. We're creating an action, and that action is integrating with GitHub to create a file for us. And so now the next step that we have to do is we need to encode this. So did you remember that it was like encode
Glide string util.
Yeah.
Oh, it was glide string util?
Yep.
Yeah.
Huh. Okay.
I don't know if it's going to autocomplete for us, but
Yeah.
we can always try.
I thought that there was a GS encoder as well.
That I think is URL encoding.
Let us go to
Not base 64. We want the base 64 encode.
Yeah, absolutely. But I seem to recall that there was one. Let's go look.
There's one from Glide sys attachment that was pointed out yesterday, but that's if you're pulling it off as a stream.
Let's see what we've got. Base 64. You got anything for me here, buddy?
Glide digest, glide
There's the glide string util.
Yes, glide sys
and
attachment, glide system.
Here it is.
Hey,
This
look
is
at
the
that.
one I was looking for.
I'd choose that first.
Glide system. Hello, buddy. You're my friend. Come join me in my script. So gs dot. Wow, look,
There it
you are
is.
in there. How come you weren't auto-completing? What did I type before?
In
Clearly,
code-
whatever it was wrong.
You started typing in code.
Ah.
You want to capture that in a variable or something?
Probably. So I think that is all I need really for doing that. So let's just go ahead and send it right to the output.
Okay.
Outputs dot encoded.
This show is seriously messing with my internal clock. It just doesn't feel like what I would be doing Saturday morning at 7 a.m.
Sunday
morning. See how messed up I am?
Yeah. and we don't have any beers, and like everything is off. Encoded because it's way too early for a drink.
And you want to kill your other output too. You're not using it, and it's mandatory, so it's probably really going to complain at you.
I am not using that sucker. Bye, friend.
Okay,
all right. So encoded file. I think that's the only thing that we needed from this script.
Okay, and you want to consume that in the rest step?
Yep.
Okay.
And so that's going to be down here in content instead of this is now going to be our encoded file.
You probably want to put that in quotes as well.
That seems reasonable. So we shall work on the genericizing of this, but let's get
for sure
a message that's not the same as I did yesterday.
And that's the commit message? Is that what that is?
Yeah, this is the commit message.
Okay.
The ABCs.
No, you got to do the initial commit. That's always the initial commit message.
The initial commit message should be different than what I'm doing.
When you create a file, isn't that? Yeah. And it says, what is your commit message? Everybody's initial commit message is initial commit.
Oh, yeah. No, I don't do that.
You don't do that.
No. I don't know if that's bad or good that I don't do that, but I don't do that. So we took inputs, but we haven't used them yet. But let's go ahead and just see if the... well, we are going to use it. So let's put something in there. Let's get a text string from VS Code. Let's get like some of this.
I think Fred Luddy even told us once. He showed us, or maybe it was Mark O'Donnell showed us like the first ServiceNow commit, set an initial commit back in 2003 or 4, whatever it was.
True. And let's say...
So you want to see what this looks like?
Stuffs. So that should be at least not horrible of a commit. So let's test this now. We're going to give this a live code happy hour test path. We're going to give it that. So this will end up being our index. So hopefully if we did what we plan to do correctly, when I test this, I'll have an index.md. It will contain this, and it will be in path LCHH test.
Drum roll, please.
So let us go see if that's the case.
Summon the GitHub gods.
We did a commit 10 seconds ago. Sweet. Let's go take a look at it. LCHH test index MD. Nice. Let's go take a look at that file. Nothing in it. That's not awesome.
Oh.
But it's a file.
It's a file.
And so let's take a look at our
execution details.
Execution and see why it is upset with us. We got a response. Let's see what we sent first. So that is not useful. I need the steps.
Yeah.
So let us take a look at the steps right here in the request body. content blank.
Nothing.
All right, so let's go see our previous steps output
The output of, yeah.
and see if we were bad. Runtime value, nothing.
Huh.
All right, let's see if we got
Encoded file. Let's see if there's a mismatch
So-
somewhere.
I mean, I copied and pasted the thing. It shouldn't be too bad. Let's see. Create objects. Encoded file.
What's that header?
I wonder if it's upset that I tried to make it a string.
It should be a string. What else should
Yeah.
could it be?
Uh,
It
base 64 string. So I'll just see if there's any other types in here.
Could it be a? Because we would output that.
Oh, that's fine. Let's go check the log
I'm
and
half
see if
tempted to-
we
yeah.
see
I
if
was
we
half tempted to put a gs.info in there and go, show me
Yeah,
my encoded
show
string.
me my. But I mean, that's what should be in that runtime value in
Yeah.
Should
the execution.
logs a lot of stuff, doesn't it?
Just now, 1 minute ago. Yeah, when you turn on IDR, your
It's
logs get real noisy. Flow data.
Browser. Okay.
So here is something from Flow actually.
Step
That was too far back, and I see no
Mhm.
useful.
No problems.
No useful. Oh, undeclared output variable.
Huh.
Encoded file.
Did I?
That's what I was just. Okay.
There's
Oh.
there's no capital.
There's no capital. I
Wait,
did copy pasta, but I did it to the wrong place. Oh, that is some kind of special right there. All right.
Thank you, logs.
Thank you, logs. Let's save that because I get nervous. So we'll test it. So we'll go, we'll do it in the same, we'll see what happens. Oh, no, we won't do the same folder because
Why
that
not?
would make it angry. Actually, I want to see what happens.
I do too.
I agree.
And we'll come grab that. We'll say, go forth and run.
I say you're going to get a second one.
I don't think I'll get a second one. I think it will update the existing record.
How will it know? Because it's the same file name.
Because same file name. So let us go see what GitHub says. And well, in fact, I should just be able to refresh this.
Theoretically, which I usually cross out and put in.
4 minutes ago. So
wait for it.
5 minutes ago. Did I?
Okay,
not?
your flow clearly ran. Time to inspect.
5 minutes ago.
Yeah, that did. You probably got some error like it already exists. Thanks.
422.
Invalid request.
SHA wasn't supplied. Oh, because I'm doing an update. That's why. So if so that's from their API.
Yeah.
If you are trying to do the create file. No. Come. Seriously? I'm going to go to Google and search for you.
And it'll come up faster.
That's what you did to me, GitHub search. So if you're doing an update, so that was a create, but update needs this.
Which comes
so
from
this is
where?
This is so it actually comes from the response you got. So the initial execution response gave us that.
We should probably store that.
So we should probably store that. So here, in this will be our SHA.
Initial response. The initial response from what? The connection or?
Yeah, when I created the file, the thing I
okay.
get back from them is, and it wasn't the headers, it was in the body. So in here should be, there it is. So this is what I should have sent over if I want to update a file.
There's several SHAs in there though. I saw 3 highlights.
Were they different?
Yes, they were all
same?
different.
Oh yeah. There's a commit SHA.
Yeah, so there's a lot of SHAs in here. So I probably clicked on the wrong one, but you need the one for the file, not the folder nor the commit.
Okay. Node ID. URL.
So we'd have to parse this to find. So like here's parents, and that's probably not the right one.
I think that top one is the file, right?
I'm going to guess it's the first one.
This one's the commit, so it was this one.
Okay. So we would need to parse and store that where? On the blog artifact record?
Yeah, we'd store it with it.
Okay.
Yeah. So that just means all I need to do is,
file.
pick a different folder.
Good to know. This is what you get out of APIs.
And this one, hopefully, has over here done a new commit. Ah, look at that.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
That's the stuff right there.
Take a drink.
And it's green.
Take a drink. It is. So we should be able to look at the raw, and it is exactly what we wanted.
Very nice.
Ah, that's nice. That's high quality water right there. Excellent. So that's doing exactly what I wanted to do. So now to consume this, what we'll want to do is, so the next step was giving it the metadata header stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't know, I'm tending to now just create sub flows for anytime I want to create anytime I think I want to create a flow, I end up making a subflow eventually. So I'm starting to lean towards just creating subflows every time.
Kind of the script include of Flow Designer, aren't they?
Because they're so much more flexible than the flow is because if I change the trigger in my flow, it basically ruins the rest of the flow.
Well, you can also pass inputs to them from a script.
Right. And so using the subflow, I can leverage it other places, and I can change what I'm sending into it without disrupting the subflow. So I can change my trigger for the flow and what that's sending to the subflow without having to undo any of that work. So I lean towards creating subflows now, at least for now. So we want to, we probably want to call this create blog.
Well, hey guys, I just wanted to drop in and say hello and thanks for the invite. And,
absolutely.
I got Hackathon hosting this afternoon, which is going to be fantastic. So I'm excited about this afternoon's Hackathon.
Oh, thanks for dropping in, Omar. Is there anything that you wanted to share before you go on the Hackathon?
Just looking forward to it. Whoever everybody's has entered, it's super exciting to see everybody's entries, and I know the judging is going to be tough because of all the great ideas that everybody's bringing forth. So I don't envy you guys having to judge all that, but I'm excited about the outcomes, and I'm looking forward to whoever's participating this afternoon too. I'll be out there as a guru if you need anything.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Omar.
Absolutely.
Appreciate you.
See you guys. All right. See you.
Bye. All right. I will reshare as soon as I can find it.
His hair's gotten long since that static picture was taken.
It has gotten a little
so
long.
So has all of ours.
I got a trim from, so my wife cuts my hair normally anyway, so that hasn't changed.
Nice.
So
nice.
So we want the create blog in Git.
Do we want to be in the GitHub spoke?
No, we don't.
Okay.
Good point. There's 2 GitHub spokes, by the way.
Yeah, because I created one and we imported the one from the store. So there are 2 GitHub spokes, and that is a little confusing, I bet.
Something to think about when you name your own spokes, kids.
Is someone else will probably do the same. And it might be ServiceNow. So I'm going to take an input as an artifact. And this is going to be a reference to artifact. That's definitely going to be mandatory. So this isn't going to do much without that. That's probably all I need for inputs right now.
I would think so.
And
You want to
now,
add a SHA output?
from
That
here.
would be nice.
Yeah.
Or this could
I could
create-
Or
probably
I guess
just
this would
update
update
it
the.
here.
You're
Yeah.
right.
This
Yeah.
would update it.
So I want a SHA output from the action is probably the thing I need to add. So the
point.
first thing I need to do is manipulate I've got to craft that text.
Mm-hmm.
You
So
want to pull that from somewhere?
so do I want to do inline scripting there, or do I want to make an action for that? Because those are basically our choices, right? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
Right.
so I could, go to my create blog, and I'll have to, I thought I turned that on already. Not managed security, but configurations. But clearly I haven't, because the computer said so. So I could here in the input line, inline script it.
Where is it coming
Which-
from? Did we determine that yet?
Yeah, it's going to come from the artifact.
Okay.
So I'm going to get the assign to, and throw that in there. And then I'm going to get the title and throw that in there, and the publish date and throw that in there, etc. So,
Okay.
so that is certainly something that I could do here with the inline scripting.
Do we think we'll have to manipulate any of the data itself?
Probably maybe the date part
Yeah,
No,
the
it
date
wasn't.
format is a little different.
It was that
Might-
T format.
might need
Yeah.
a little might need a manipulation, and that leads me to either doing my own action or a script include that I just call here. And on that note, I really need a moment away. Is there any chance you could take over the screen for a minute, Brad?
Yeah.
So I will stop sharing. Brad will get into.
I thought Zoom
the-
allowed you to control his mouse, but that might be dangerous.
Yeah, we don't let Brad control my
Well,
mouse.
Just send some emails
That's
and
just-
see how it goes.
Dear Bill McDermott.
The risk level there, with trolls in the room is too high.
Always trust your coworkers.
Trust but verify.
All right, let's share here. And that is this Chrome window.
There it is.
All right, so let's go ahead and open up Flow Designer.
For those just joining, we are automating some GitHub portions of the artifact manager we use to control, manage the blog authoring process. So the blogs are in Markdown. We store them on GitHub. We'd like to automate that process a little bit rather than saying, hey, Chuck, go write an article. It's like, where do I start? Well, here, create this Markdown file in GitHub and then give Andrew access to it. It's fairly manual right now, and we're just trying to streamline that a bit. So these are some of the pieces and components that we're building. We've got an action that will now integrate with GitHub to create that file. We're now composing the metadata that we're going to pass to that action.
Thanks, Chuck. So I don't think Andrew saved his
I was gonna say, where'd it
subflow.
go?
So the question was, right? We have to build that that stub that we had created in GitHub. So we're going to have to pass it the slug, which was basically the name of our folder. We need to pass it a date that has a specific format. And so, well, let's go ahead and let's look at in GitHub what we had created there.
I think the slug also is part of the permalink, is it not?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's really the important part of this, I believe. So that's right. So this is what we are having to create that we're going to pass to GitHub here. So we've got our author, and we should be able to pull this. This should just be the display value. Then we've got our title, and then the date is, one of the things that we're going to have to do some formatting to.
That should be simple enough, though.
Yeah.
We can do a glide date time. Take the date, take the time, put it together with a T. Theoretically.
And then I don't know that we'll have to do anything to the slug, and then categories and tags or categories. I think we'll leave out.
Yeah, we'll
tags.
just cut categories out entirely.
And then tags, I think maybe just leave blank for now.
For now, yeah. I wouldn't even send it.
Okay.
Andrew, can you double check and make sure you saved your subflow?
I didn't. I was worried about that when I walked away, and I was like, they'll figure it out.
That's all right. We got it.
There wasn't anything to it, so but I did save it now.
So thinking about it, I think I would want to build. I'd want to create an action that builds this. What do you guys think?
Okay,
that's the way I lean.
So I was leaning towards action or script included. Either way here.
Sure.
We haven't dropped out to a script include in quite a while, but the action is essentially the script includes of the flow world, and is it generic enough, and am I providing enough value by it being a flow action or not?
So, which GitHub spoke?
Oh no!
I guess let's do this.
Go rename one of them.
Well, we can. What if we open it up?
Oh, if you open it up, then it'll be the default in Flow Designer. But then
yeah, so now I'm in it. And now let's create an action.
That one.
This is the one we want to be in. All right.
Yeah.
That's kind of a crazy trick, but it worked. You can't create one. Well, could you create one in the store app?
Yes.
Yes.
I believe you can. Yeah, you can edit. You can add things to that store app. I don't believe there's a protection policy on the whole spoke, like the whole scope. The individual actions and flows provided are read only and have protection policies, but you should be able to write to the that scope.
All right, so we'll build the stub here. So one of the inputs is going to be the artifact, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We'll make this a reference.
And you're going to need the file as well, the file path.
To build the stub, why would you need the file path?
Because it goes in.
Oh, yeah.
it goes inside of it.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep. Could that be added to the artifact record at some point?
We absolutely
Actually,
that is in fact one of the main goals of this whole thing is getting that that into the artifact.
it
So-
needs to be in the artifact record for this to work.
Yes.
So
it sounds
do
like
we need to
add
pass
a
it
field.
separately?
We don't need to pass it separately, but we do need to just decide where we're going to store it.
I think we store it on the artifact record, right?
Well, yeah,
We need to create that.
we need to create the field where
Yeah.
we store it is what I was
Got
getting
it.
at.
Yeah, because all
All
this other
right.
stuff feels like a
Or
plus
find
one.
the field that we want to leverage that will already exists that we want to dump it into, which might be the case.
All right. So I think we need to do that before we do something to it.
Yes.
Rewind all the way back to the data model.
Let's go. I'm not in an update set.
Okay.
I probably need to be, right?
Yeah, you can drop into Artifact Manager and then the update set that I have open, but you
You're not
also
doing a
have
publish
one
and
too, it's fine.
install.
Yep, we don't
No.
do publish and install on these instances anymore because they hate us.
I got a good brain dump from Sarathi, so I feel like I now understand the whole store client process, tables, everything.
Nice.
I can even make multiple instances belong to the same store and multiple company codes belong to the same instance. Like,
Wow. Yeah, we're gonna have to visit after
Mhm.
knowledge comms.
Yeah.
I've documented.
All right.
Or share the documentation. Yeah.
So I have switched into your update set here,
Mm-hmm.
and now we can add our.
Yeah, I was looking at the fields available, and there really isn't like a amazing field to store it in that I see already exists. So I think we're fine creating a new one at this point.
All right.
Yeah, I don't see anything. So that's always my first step is
Oh, I need to refresh.
see if the ridiculous table I'm in already has a field we're not using that could be leveraged for the thing we want. But this one does not seem to have.
I'm in update set, Andrew Barnes.
Yeah, but you still have to click it.
Got it. All right. So let's call this.
Slug?
Why don't I not have the
Either slug or
Path?
ID or
let's call
path or
let's call it slug. It bothers me that don't I normally have the
What?
the column name here?
No,
yeah, by default it's not there.
it's not there by default.
Oh yeah.
Must be a Brad preference.
It's definitely a preference that I add in like every time.
I do sometimes.
Because I like to be able to set the name because I care.
I just had this feeling it was going to I know it's not, but I thought it might give me
U underscore?
a capital
No.
S.
No, it's smart
Which-
enough about that.
I would hate.
I generally only turn that on if I want something other, like if I call it slug and I want the column name, like slug underscore name, if I want them different.
All right, so that is a unique identifier we can now leverage.
Do we want to go ahead and add the SHA here as well?
Good point.
Sure.
Right. This will have to be where we store it.
It doesn't have to be where we store it. No, we could do like we're doing with YouTube and store the entry for the blog that we pull down in a separate table.
Okay.
So it doesn't have to be stored here, and I kind of want it not to.
Okay.
Like we've got a unique identifier now, which is that slug,
Okay.
which will allow us to be more flexible in how we pull data in from that source, and then when we sync internally from that blog table that I'll probably create, then we can treat it just like we're doing the YouTube. So we're pulling down authoritative data from YouTube, but we're only syncing some of that back to the artifact record.
Okay. Did I type artifact one?
I don't know how that got there, but I wouldn't prefer it.
It won't let me change it.
You might need to refresh that. Yeah, there
Huh.
you go.
So, okay, that's fun.
So did it add that? Let's. No, just a typo. All right.
Action saved successfully. All right. So now we have our artifact object, which is the key here. Script it up. Let's do it.
All right. So we need our
so I guess you want to just send it in the sysid in the inputs.
No, you can get.
Can we send a?
You can send the whole record.
Yeah.
Oh, you can. And
otherwise, if all you have is a sysid, you got to go do another glide record.
Yeah. No, I thought that's what I'd have to do.
Let's try it without it.
Yeah. I'm delighted if it works. I'm just didn't know that we could.
Cool.
Let's do it. All right.
That one put a 1 on it as well.
What the?
What's going on here?
You're number 1, Brad.
Everything gets a 1.
It's just it's a keyboard thing I have set up where it tells me I'm number 1 all the time.
Number
just
1.
Some positive reinforcement.
Speaking of which, for Mac owners, I don't know if anybody else has noticed this while they're doing code and they hit space and they get a dot in there somewhere, which is really annoying. That is a default Mac OS thing. If you go into System Preferences keyboard, it says, oh, you're using a double space, while in Word or something, it will put on a period to end your previous sentence, which in coding is annoying as heck. So turn that off. That's been
all right
for about a year.
So assuming we've got our artifact record, then we want to...
Right. So we want to build this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're going to need a bunch of plus equals going on here.
Yeah. Do you want to give it a new line here?
Yep.
Yes.
So grab the author first. Authors. Yeah, why don't you just copy that whole thing and paste it below your inputs in your script so you don't have to go back and forth.
What if I like clicking?
I mean, that's
you
do you, man. You're driving. You know.
I'll put it down here.
Yeah.
All right. So we're gonna need to go.
This is where the quote game begins.
All right.
Now we want
Unless I'm going crazy, I think that worked.
artifact gr dot author.
Is it author?
Sign 2. No, it is test extended. So yeah.
That get display value.
There we go.
Nice.
All right.
One down.
Then you want to add a new line there.
Oh, yes. Append your new line.
Oh, yeah.
Those are easily forgotten.
All right. This one is
Title.
what do we want to do here? Title.
We're going to save date for last.
that was kind of my thinking.
Just you know.
It's 2 lines of code. Come on.
Hey, I'm traumatized by dates.
So am I.
So
am I.
I'll go in there and fight them, but I'm gonna get the easy stuff first.
Well, is this task extended? I don't think it is.
No, it would say so at the top.
Yeah. What is the title?
There's 35 fields, so you're not looking at all of them yet.
But
it could be title.
Yeah, I would actually go to the actual list view and right click on it.
Oh, it is called short description. It's been labeled title.
So it's short description, but
let's validate.
Go to the list view.
I think I have this. No, I don't have it in def.
Yeah, so just go to
let's look at blog posts.
And they're
we're in dev.
Of course. Nice.
Are there any records?
No. Oh, the live streams from the integration.
Yeah. Short description. All right. Okay.
That's the title. Nice. And then the next thing is going to be our slug. So are we going to get the slug from the title? Or are we going to get it from the artifact?
Oh, you're going to generate it, or you're going to?
I think I want to generate it if it doesn't exist.
So
that could be horrifically long, but
yeah.
So I want to generate it from the title. So replace all the spaces with underscores and truncate it at 15 characters.
Ooh. Why don't we generate it from the title on the record?
That's what he was saying, I thought.
Like, so that
that'd be fine, but I only care about generating it when I'm ready to move it to the thing.
Moving it to GitHub.
Because we'll mess with the name internally.
15 doesn't sound unique enough to me.
Like, I don't want to do it every time I update the record, generate a new slug. I want it only when it's going to go to GitHub.
Okay.
You can always change it in GitHub. I mean, in your editor, commit it back to GitHub. This is just a stopgap.
Well, once we do the stub, it's going to create that folder in the file.
Yeah, uniqueness just it feels like an issue to me.
Uniqueness of what?
Basing it off of the title, but truncating at 15. I mean, just think CreatorCon 2020 has a lot of characters that it doesn't, if we started a couple of articles with CreatorCon 2020, that's already, about 13 of those characters?
Yeah, well, typically our titles internally aren't like that.
Okay, you're talking about the internal title.
Yeah.
And those usually translate roughly into the slug.
So a common use case is we'll get the default title from the article short description field, but you can always change that later. You don't want to and can't change the slug because that impacts the folder and the URL, the post path.
Yeah, like here's all our slugs.
And you'll notice that the title isn't necessarily very consistent with, you can't see the title, but
yeah.
The title and
usually
the slugs
rename
aren't very highly connected.
Okay.
Yeah,
Titles.
mine
often
are
the
usually
prename.
different. Yeah. Let's just try to get this thing to work for now.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
I'm good with working.
I thought you were going to generate the slug.
I want to, but Brad wants to.
Okay.
He's typing.
I want to I want to go ahead and do this first. I'm not convinced I kind of want to know that we haven't generated the stub, the slug. I don't really want it to auto generate it for me. I don't trust it. I don't trust it to name it how I want it to name it.
I don't either. But what you could also do is if somebody enters it on the artifact record, you can go out and check if that already exists.
Yeah, if we had all of the existing slugs in the.
No, you could just do an HTTP request.
Oh,
say,
that's
hey,
true. Yeah.
Does this? Have you hit? Does GitHub know? I do that on the community live stream to say, is there a folder out there with GitHub stuff? If there is, I'll include the link in the show notes. So it generates that automatically.
So we got draft true. We're not going to do categories. So now tags.
I just want to do an empty tags. Oh.
Just an empty tags is fine.
Yeah. It doesn't matter.
Okay. Yeah. Yank those. Good. That seems fine. And now the date.
It's date time.
We'll go ahead and close it out with the bottom line as well.
Oh yeah. Oh, I don't have the little here.
That
That worked
I
well.
hate it when I don't remember the shortcut for that, which on Mac is
shift
Shift
tab.
tab.
Shift
But
tab.
I hate it when I can't remember that because like querying for what that is not an easy Google query.
It's become so often I don't remember what it is. If you ask me, my fingers know it, but my brain doesn't.
Well, I'm a memoryless machine, so I don't remember it.
And then
yeah, give us the 3 lines at the end.
Oh, the dash dash dash.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And now we can deal with time in the middle.
All right. So we want date.
So if we did, how about we just grab, so I think Chuck had the idea of just grabbing the get display date and get display time and then putting a T between them.
Are these UTC or anything? Do we need to worry about time zones? What does this date represent?
I think it's Eastern, right?
It is Eastern because it's and well, so what it'll display will either be it'll be the user running it or the system time, which neither of those is Eastern except for me.
Okay. And where does that show up? Is that the published date on the final article? When it should be published? What is
the planned publish date is the field that we're looking at.
Okay.
But really, Brad, I think the only thing I want, actually, in fact,
it's just the date.
Just do this. Just get the date.
Yeah.
The T10 and the rest of that can just be a string. Like
that's right.
So yeah, just get the date.
Can we get the date from the field on the glide record, or do we need to do a
I think we have to,
glide date time?
I think we have to do a glide date to get that. I'll check the API so you don't have to pull up the docs.
You can get it from the record. Or you could do a new glide date on the record and fill it with the record field. But I think you have to use display value there.
Scoped.
This is where we start getting hurdy brain on foreign dates and times.
What is the name of that field?
Publish date?
Planned publish date. Publish
Publish
by.
under by. Like all good apps, the labels change over time.
Yeah, to get just the date, I think you do have to get you do have to create a glide date object, not a glide date time object. At least I'm not seeing a give me the display value of the date.
There's no get date out of glide date time?
I don't. Oh, no, there is one. Get date.
Well, I already used glide date, so let's see if it works.
What are you using that line 6 for?
New glide date.
Because he's going to put that in the artifact stub, right? Yeah. He's going to use publish date.
The gs.getDate.
Oh.
What is line 6 doing?
My fingers typed GS instead of GD.
It's fingers. Fingers.
They just type GS if I type a G first. Where are we? Date. Okay, so we want publish date. I have a feeling this is going to we're going to run into time zone issues. We may get like care about the day before. Zones. Well, you may get the day before. A whole different
day. Yeah.
The day after.
That's true.
Is that published data published by? Is it a date or a datetime field?
That's a good thing to check. It is a date.
Oh, there we go. Well, that makes it easier.
Oh, if it's a date, then
then we're especially good.
Then we don't need line 5 at all, really.
Oh yeah,
because it's already a date. Goodbye, 5 and 6.
All right.
Fingers crossed. Test it. Oh, you got an output slug. Yep.
I think we've got that.
I think my favorite thing in all of this is going to be the T10 part, like getting the date from the artifact and putting it at 10 o'clock is
can you
like.
Go back to the. We've got a terminology thing that's driving me nuts. Go back to the script. You're calling two things.
Yeah, hold on.
This should be Stub.
I know. I can't keep them straight.
Okay, you got to change your outputs in the script then too. Oh,
you got to get from the script step.
The script step. Yep.
Boo.
Thank you. Like, wait a minute. What were the slug stuff? What was what? That'll help. There we go. All right. Text.
We don't have any blogs in here.
Go make one.
Let's grab one.
I'll do it for you.
Export one from prod.
Make one. Make one right now. It's fun.
It's fun.
The quick ad.
Can't think of anything I'd rather do on a Sunday morning.
We lost the YouTube chat a while ago. Like,
oh yeah,
I haven't responded in about 45 minutes.
They're like, they're still going? How is this possible?
Cool. Another artifact exists with that rank already. That's a good reason to
Oh, I didn't know about that. Nice little record producer.
Best blog ever. And
Should
make
we
sure.
randomize the rank?
Oh God.
Assign it to somebody.
Any non-zero ending is fine for rank, and yeah, assign someone instead of plan published.
Let's go. I don't think there's anything else going on the 13th, so let's put that
Nah,
down.
there's nothing on the 13th.
If it's
That's
the best blog ever, I'd publish it on Mother's Day.
That's it. This is at the 13th. Is actually my wife's birthday, so
That'll work. I got twin brother and sister on the 12th.
Let's be pessimistic.
Best blog 1. Nice.
Now we know how they're getting there.
What else? This is we got all the stuff we need, right?
That's all the stuff you
Okay.
need. Ship
Let's
it.
get published by.
Nope. Need the best
The number's
blog.
not the display value here.
Of course.
Best blog
All
ever.
right. What
Let's
is our
see.
output?
Oh, I see output.
Hey, that looks good to me.
13th.
That's the right format, right?
I'm sold. It's done.
We have a new action. Publish it. Put it in a subflow.
Just you just hit the raw button there. I want to see it.
There we go. Yep, that looks right. Year, month, day. All right.
Was the title in an array? The author was. Show me the one that was on GitHub already.
Author, category, and tag. Did we put it in an array?
You had title as an array.
But probably because the copy paste from
Yeah,
author.
I think it was a copy paste error from the line above.
Yes. Yep. Good call.
And
the
date
slug
and
is in an array
slug
also.
Because copy pasta
Yes,
is a friend when they need to be the same.
Yeah. I don't think slug needs to be an array either.
No.
Yeah, because we only tags and authors are it.
The things with S's at the end. Very sneakily.
Even though we're pulling from a reference field, not a list field, so authors will never be more than one.
Yeah, in the auto generation, it will only ever be one.
Yeah, but we can add more. All right, let's publish this guy.
Sweet. That's awesome. Thank you, Brad. You just jumped in and took over, and I really appreciate it.
Should we should we try to finish this, or we've got 8 minutes left?
Yeah, we got 8 minutes. But let's update the record, right? What more did we want to do?
We got to put the actions in the flow.
Let's update the record with the draft URL.
Yes.
Under create blog file, let's update our artifact record.
All right.
The draft URL.
First, we need to add the.
We still need to do the SHA thing too.
Yeah, we need to. Yeah, I'm not going to worry about the SHA thing because I don't intend on updating the records at the moment. I only want to create them.
Sure.
How do I?
Is it froze? No, there it is.
Can I add? Oh, that's where I want to go. There we go. What do we call action? That?
Build article stub. Seems I can see it in the tabs up there.
Like, wait a minute, is that right? All right.
You stream for 2 hours and you start doubting everything.
That's right. Metadata. So
neither of those need to be scripted now, right?
That's right. So
we have our
Stub. And then,
we
let's
have,
get this from.
Uh-oh.
yeah, the stub goes in
Yeah.
file path. You're doing the file path is the stub and metadata header. Oh no, wait.
No, it's
The
the
output-
slug.
Slug.
I think the
Slug. My bad. I did the
again.
same thing you were doing. My bad.
We're turning
You
into
were-
Doctor Who.
You had it right.
I mean, Dr.
Uh,
Seuss.
Who's on first?
Sound like our Dr. Seuss thing about spokes
What's on
and
second?
scopes.
Oh, there's our
And-
template thing again.
Apparently people said that's been, I apparently don't read the suggestion text because apparently that's been there for like 3 versions.
It looks familiar, but I always go for the add field value button.
So for
And-
draft URL, this would be the blog URL for after it's published.
Yep.
All right. Well, let's go get one of those. Hey, we are live streaming.
We are live streaming. Look at that.
Someone's ahead of the game.
So
And just pull off the slug and apply back the slug.
Uh-oh. That was grayed out. Oh, okay.
let me do it. All right.
So now we can actually see the 2 things work together.
We're assuming all these homemade actions are going to work. We don't have any sort of fail method.
What do you guys think?
I'm optimistic because we tested the pieces separately. So I think we're going to create a record in GitHub with the correct path, and it's going to update our artifact with the draft URL. I have faith this time. Normally I'm the Nancy Doubter over here, but today I'm feeling good.
As we come
Chuck?
up to the end of our block. Sure, I'm optimistic because we had pretty good success in the unit testing. I'm just wondering if we should have some return codes in these actions that could take us down a oops path. But
All right. I'm going to press the button.
yeah,
Press the button.
We got to get a sunny day first.
It's been executed.
We ought to be executed. Complete, complete,
There's
complete.
there's no errors. Lots of green stuff.
We like green stuff.
And GitHub says you did a commit 14 seconds ago. It appears to, I'm not even looking at the screen share.
Yeah, quit cheating.
I'm cheating over here, getting ahead. If you,
Just flip to the answer.
there we
guide and
go.
back.
Look at it.
Hey.
Okay, best blog.
Best
ever.
blog
There's
one.
Slug.
Index, MD.
got
We
arrays
didn't
where
even
we
need
got
that.
arrays, We got literals where we got. Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. The date has quotes on it. It should not.
Date.
I think it
Date
I
has
think it is
quotes.
supposed to have
No,
Yeah.
it did not.
Mm.
Let's
Go check one of
It
the
does
other ones.
not.
It does
It
not.
does not have quotes.
Go check.
I still call that a victory.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, it created that. Now
But
we
yeah,
should go back to our
well,
artifact record.
We need to
Well, that
edit
would've-
the build article stub.
It just might
That
not
would have
work.
been that would have been something we wouldn't have found until
published
one of
time.
these ends up trying to get published and goes wonky.
So we pull, yeah,
uh,
build article stub was the right.
There we go.
spelling. And just pull off the extra quotes.
The double quotes ones.
The double quotes. Oh,
Bam.
There we go.
And we save and publish that, and then just check our artifact to make sure that the URL got updated and is shippable product.
I wish I had my extra eyes when I do quoting like that too, because there's so many times. Why isn't this read? Oh, stupid quotes.
Between that and the GS instead of GD,
Right.
I guess we would have caught that on with an error. But All right.
Yay. All
Well,
right. Drop out of
I'm going to stop sharing.
share.
Success right on time, top of the hour. That's the way we like to end them.
That was great. We got through, and not only did we get like minimal viable, we got like the double bonus points of what our ultimate goal was.
Maximum lovable product.
Yeah, like this is maximal lovable because it's got the date field in there with the correct time that I want it as a default, and that's probably the only irritant point when I'm creating these right now.
So we just need to make the regular show on Fridays twice as long, and we'll be good.
I don't think that's sustainable for me. I mean, maybe it was just yesterday with the 6 hours of streaming was definitely too much for me. Like,
oh, you would never hold up for one of those 24-hour marathons.
You just don't run an event and do live streaming at the same time. I've done long streams, but not with the stress level. I think was the same. Running the event and running a stream, and too many things. That was great though. Thank you, Brad. Thank you, Chuck.
You're welcome.
My HTO is top quality 5s.
I still got some in the tank.
I had coffee and espresso. They were both good.
Ooh, did you get delivery?
I did get a delivery in the middle of the stream.
I love delivery drinks.
My wife came in and slid it under my monitor.
That is she gets bonus points for that.
She does.
Those of you out there hacking away, we really appreciate all the effort that you're putting into those apps. I'll let Brad add a couple of things, but make sure that you get your video and the application record in the Hack Now instance submitted before the deadline in 13 hours. So
yeah,
13 hours from now, you need to have your pitch video, which should be target 3 minutes for that, but don't make it longer than 5 because we won't watch any of it that's longer than 5. And get that pitch video in and attach it to your record that you submit for the and any of the text that you put in there, the description, you're selling a product, right? So make sure that you're doing your best effort to sell that product. So hopefully you've built an amazing application, and now you need to convince the judges that it's an amazing application. So make sure you put effort into convincing the judges that your application is awesome. So put a good description in there, explain the problem that you're trying to solve, how you've solved it, and the interesting parts of what you're selling there. So anything else you want to add on how to best leverage that to the judges, Brad?
Value. Show where you're adding value to the organization or the problem that you're solving. Is, this save time, this cut costs. You can work on those angles and say, normally if if we were taking Andrew's use case, what is the problem and what were the faults, what were the pain points, and how have we addressed those? Where are we adding value to using this solution over the last one?
Yep.
Yeah. So when you're submitting your pitch, you do that through the Hack Now instance, that event page where you registered your team and you see your team. There's a create an app button you'll use, and that'll open up a form in a modal and basically fill out that form as fully as possible. There's a video link. You have to choose a category, one of the 5 categories. You should give it a name, and then there's a lot of other fields you should fill out. I will say, don't wait until 11:30 Eastern to upload your video and put the link out there. Give yourself some time just in case you have internet issues or there's some issue with uploading it somewhere.
And they can update that application record. So go ahead and get your stuff made now, even if you're not solidified on everything. Go ahead and get that record created. But yeah, you were talking about making sure you upload your video, early.
Yeah. Upload your video. YouTube and Vimeo both have, both have the ability to upload a public video that's only accessible by its URL. If you're worried about privacy, it's not, real security, but all the judges have to be able to watch it. So it has to be something available publicly. But yeah, make sure you get that done on time. That 11:59 p.m. Eastern is a hard deadline. So make sure you get that going. If you have any questions, need any help, run into issues, use the Hackathon community. There's a lot of us on there that are trying to answer things, pretty close to real time for most of the rest of the day. And we have one more guru session. So if you need some help,
pulling up the time for that.
I think I know the time, but why don't you tell us?
Which is in 5 hours.
All right. So that's 4 p.m. Eastern.
Till 6 p.m. Eastern. So 5 hours from
6 p.m.
this moment, though.
Okay. I think it's
6 p.m. Eastern.
Oh,
it's now 11 a.m.
My brain
Eastern.
doesn't work.
So yeah, it's 11 a.m. now.
So that'd be 7
4
hours. How many hours from now, Andrew? 4.
It's
5 hours from now.
No, 5
4
hours
Eastern.
12, 1,
4
2, 3, 4.
4.
5.
4 Eastern.
4 Eastern.
5 hours from now, 4 Eastern.
Go. There's a blog post. Visit the blog post on the Hackathon community.
We need a script.
Has updated times. We'll
Time
create
zones
we'll create a flow action.
When I'm
right.
That's all I got.
There won't be any time zones.
Thank you, everybody. We really appreciate everything that you're doing out there. If you have enjoyed watching the hackathon, if you're not participating, share that in the hackathon community page or on the video here or on any of the blog entries that we have on the developer site, and let the teams know that you've enjoyed this. And then certainly watch the finals, the announcement of the winner at CreatorCon. That's going to come up on the 3rd, depending on the time zone and where you live, on the 13th of May will be when we do the announcement. So tune in for that during CreatorCon, and we're excited to see the applications. Thanks, everybody. Have a great weekend.
Bye.